Hi everyone, this is my recap of my final research proposal. My research question was about the knowledge and that coaches and sports trainers had on concussions. Um, I looked at many articles on this topic and across different sports. I looked at elite athletes, high schools, universities across all levels, including baseball, football, rugby, and soccer. Um, and overall, a lot of the what I was finding is a lot of the trainers and the coaches were aware of concussions and knowledge about them and had background knowledge with all the articles that was found in the studies. Um, but they were allowing their players to go ahead and play anyway, which I found interesting because they were putting a lot of their players in danger, and I didn't think that coaches were able to do that. And I think that guidelines should be in place so that they're not able to do that. Especially at the lower levels, in high schools, especially colleges, and in youth athletics, because it's important that for parents and players to be safe while they're playing sports and know all the protocols for concussions going forward. Um, many of the data also was a little mixed. Most of the articles did find that they were aware of it, but I was also finding that was interesting that at the lower levels in youth athletics and high schools as well, that the coaches did not have as much knowledge about concussions than did like elite athletes, pros, and college at the college levels. Um, which I think that in the future, with these findings, we could put something in place to give more knowledge to the younger generation and the younger athletes, so that way they're safe as well, and they go through guidelines and procedures for um, concussions as well. Um, we know we have guidelines already set up for um, concussions, and but not everyone's going and abiding by them. Um, and when through the data in the articles that I said, the people went through interviews, um, sat down with coaches and sat down with sports trainers, and a lot of the time the sports trainers knew more than the coaches did. And I think it's important that the coaches know as well as the sports trainers do about concussions. That way they can see the symptoms right away and can pull them out of the game. Now, what was also interesting in the studies is that coaches and sports trainers were letting the players play anyway, even though they were diagnosed with a known concussion. Um, and that's due to their competitiveness, especially on an elite level, where it was most known um, for that to happen. And and I think that that there should be rules in place that way they're not allowed to do that, because that's putting their lives in stake for the players and their safety. Um, the methods that I would use if I were to go forward and do more in-depth analysis with this would be surveys and questionnaires and in a focus group, as well as interviews with the coaches themselves to see what they know and what they don't know, and just to get more information on the subject to go forward with these studies and these findings that has already been done. Um, I think this is the best way too, because this way you get a broad spectrum of all the information that's out there and different views of all the coaches, and what they know and what they don't know in terms of concussions, and what we can do in the future to help out with this topic, so that they know more and that the players in general are safer when they play sports. Um, Another thing that I would do is with in regards to methods is as make sure that when doing the surveys, to go to every type of level. So go through the high schools, go through colleges, do surveys on a small scale, on a large scale. That way I can see different views on different levels. Because in the findings, they were also showing that on the lower levels, since they didn't have as much knowledge, I want to see if that's true. I want to see if that's true across the board on a small scale and on a large scale, and across all the different sports too. And looking at doing surveys and interviews and everything across the board, and in terms of all the sports and if they're different or not. That's it, and hope you enjoyed.